Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're doing the Delta Flyer. I figured if we're going to hit the Intrepid class, why not get the Delta Flyer to go along with it? Seeing that I'm sure that these are fan favorite ships, and I figured that they would go hand in hand together very nicely. So, looking from our Decipher book under Shuttlecraft, we have the Delta Flyer. So, marooned across the galaxy in the Delta Quadrant, the Starship Voyager faced a number of unique threats and their sometimes strained their resources. On more than one occasion, the necessity arose for a high performance shuttlecraft that could fulfill a number of important tactical and strategic roles without placing Voyager in harm's way. The resulting vessel, the Delta Flyer, was a collaboration of work of several Voyager's officers, headed by Lieutenant Tom Paris. By integrating Borg technology provided by Voyager's crew member 7 of 9, the Delta Flyer gained a significant tactical edge. The original Delta Flyer was destroyed in 2376, but the usefulness of the craft had already been proven and was rebuilt in short order. So, looking at what we have here, and I'll just, this is on Daystrom's website, just kind of going through some of the fun pictures that we have because it is a iconic ship for so many fans, and I think it deserves a little recognition here. Um, Here we are. You know, this is what a size two craft. Here, I'll take a peek at it. It is a actually it's a size three craft, so just just barely small enough to grant it the shuttle kind of tag, but big enough that it can handle stuff on its own. So always an interesting craft. All right, so looking at the stats that we have here, provided to us from uh, D6 Holocron, we have the Delta Flyer, a shuttlecraft for the United Federation of Planets, Starfighter scale, length of 21 meters. Let's see, it has a width of 12.2 meters and a height of 5.3 meters. It is This is being listed as a size 2. The Decipher book that I was reading listed it as a size 3. So it is a little bit of a flexibility, and I've mentioned this many other times. When we're going from one source to another, sometimes we get some slight discrepancies. Perfectly fine. It's just one of those, we always have to take that with a little grain of salt and, go from there. Okay, this is for the purposes of, say, like the Star Wars role playing game. This would be a space transport. Has an autopilot of a 2D plus 2, so pretty much just a hair above our standard 2D base nobody or average Joe person. Uh, Going from there, we do have a crew of 4. Skeleton crew of 1 can manage this, but it has a plus 1 or plus 10 to all of your uh, skill rolls. We have room for 2 passengers and enough cargo capacity for 10 metric tons. This has got enough consumables on board for about 2 weeks, and the warp drive can handle a warp 6, can get up to 7.2 and maintain that, or it could stress itself for 8.2 for 12 hours, but then it'll need a little bit of a refit downtime. Um, Seeing that this is a little bit slower, and because for me to bring it over and grab everything and throw it into the Star Wars universe, I gave it like a 12x backup drive and a 2x primary hyperdrive, just trying to keep everything on par. Uh, but for everyone's just staying in the Star Trek universe, here we are. Of course, you're going to have a nav computer, has a maneuverability of 2D plus 2, which for everything else that we have here in the Star Trek universe is pretty good. Has a space of 9.5, atmospheric flight, just about on par with what Voyager itself is able to do. We have 1,175 kilometers per hour. Has a hull of 3D, so pretty resilient. Has a shields of 2D plus 1. So again, those are almost on par with Voyager. Voyager, I thought, was a 4 for a hull, 4D for a hull. Shields, I think, was like a 2D plus 2 or something. Um, so not bad. Sensors. We have a passive scan at 3 kilometers with a plus 1, plus 1D for our roll. We have an active scan out to 8 kilometers with a plus 1D plus 1. We have an active search at 12 kilometers at a plus 2D to our roll, and a active focus search at 500 meters at a 2D plus 1 bonus. We have 8 Type 6 phaser arrays, 4 forward, 1 port, 1 starboard, and 2 aft. So I'm going to say that if you're shooting straight forward, you're going to be able to shoot 6 different weapons here. And they have a fire rate of 3 with a fire control of 2D plus 2. They're doing 6D damage. Now keep in mind, this is Starfighter, so if you were shooting at a starship or a capital ship, it would be down to a 40. But you're still able to shoot 3 times per weapon per round. So pretty substantial there. We do have a micro torpedo launcher. It is forward, but these are self-guided like all the others. Has a fire control of 2D plus 2. We have 200 micro torpedoes total on board. Has a spread of 5, and it does 2D plus 1 damage. Not the most powerful. If you're shooting at a capital class starship, you're going to be scratching paint for the most part. But the fact that you can overwhelm them, I don't know. I mean, because really you're talking about for every one that hits, it's only going to be 1 point because you're going to lose that 2D. So you're really kind of down to just 5 points for 5 torpedoes. Depending on how you wanted to play it. Now, if you want to, you could just up what the ship's shields are able to absorb and all that, and go from there. So, continuing on here, we do have 2 Class Alpha tractor beams, 1 forward, 1 aft. These are Starfighter scale, have a fire control of 1D plus 2. Of course, we have a fire rate of 1 because these are tractor beams, and it has a strength of 3D. We also have miscellaneous, so this was created in 2376, just like our write-up had said. We have 1 personnel transporter for a capacity of 2 people, or 2 beings. And then we have 6 probes. So, not a lot there. It is an interesting ship. Once we start getting runabouts and all that, we start seeing a lot of innovation with our shuttlecraft and the like. And really, a lot of this starts coming after we have our encounters with the Borg. And I will put it out in this regard, whether I repeat myself or not, 5 million times or not. It is just the whole thing of, instead of losing big ships to the Borg, if we can get more ships firing in more directions, seeming like they're all threats, then hopefully you can cut away at the Borg a little here and a little there, and you can keep them from maybe attacking some of the other larger ships and saving personnel in that regard. That's my theory behind it. Whether I'm right or wrong, you can always let me know your opinion on that in the comments, but here we are. We'll kind of read through our description here. The Delta Flyer was specifically designed Federation shuttlecraft, which was constructed by the crew of the Voyager during the Starship's long voyage in the Delta Quadrant. Unlike other Federation shuttlecraft before it, the Delta Flyer was a blend of Starfleet and Borg tech, and was designed to perform in situations that were deemed too hazardous for standard shuttlecraft. Among the many features included on the Delta Flyer were the ultra aerodynamic I'm going to mess this up. Alloy, the alloy on the hull, retractable warp nacelles, parametallic hull plating, unimatrix shielding, and Borg-inspired weapons, including pulse phasers and photonic missiles. And that comes from Extreme Risk. For several years, Tom Paris had been working on plans to design and build a new shuttlecraft, but the plans were finally given a go-ahead by Captain Janeway when Voyager had to recover a multi-spatial probe from a gas giant before the Melon could obtain it. Following a brainwashing session with Paris, Tuvok, Seven of Nine, Harry Kim, and Belena Torres, the design of the Delta Flyer was finalized and construction of the ship rushed. The Delta Flyer's mission was successful despite a hull breach, and the probe was safely returned to Voyager. A few months later, the Flyer was equipped with a transwarp coil when Janeway led a team to rescue Seven of Nine from the Borg Queen at the heart of the collective. Once Seven was rescued, the Flyer returned to Voyager at transwarp speed, with the Queen close behind. Fortunately, the Flyer's defenses were able to hold until they reached Voyager. When Voyager was trapped by the Vroshoth Forge, the Delta Flyer was used to transport members of the Hazard Team into the Scavenger's base of operation in order to acquire stolen samples of Isidium. The transport was done by shuttlecraft because the Scavengers had a transporter inhibitor present, which prevented a direct beam in into this station. If I can only read here correctly. All right. In late 2376, Captain Janeway, Tuvok, and Torres took the Flyer into the path of a Borg tactical cube, with the ultimate goal of infiltrating the collective and being able to assist the inhabitants of the Unimatrix Zero. When the Flyer approached the cube, the Queen had the shuttlecraft destroyed, and the away team beamed onto the cube just as the Flyer was destroyed. Following the team's return to Voyager in early 2377, a replacement of the Delta Flyer 2 was constructed. And by 2381, the Delta Flyer and the Delta Flyer 2 design had inspired Starfleet's new heavy shuttlecraft design, the Flyer class, and that comes from the novel Over a Torrent Sea. So we have all this from Memory Alpha, Memory Beta, Memory Gamma, and the Demon Apostle. So, uh, you know, it's always good to be able to see ships like this being brought forth. I know that these are fan favorite ships, which is fun to bring it out to you. Just like for me, for like the Deep Space Nine, just the original series, the Next Generation, those are my core for me. But everybody's got their own core of which series they like and everything else. So it's always fun to bring all that stuff in. So with that, thank you for stopping by and visiting. It's always fun and appreciative that you stop by. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.